Well, well, well. Hello, everybody. Here we are on this new version of the Blind Mike Project. I am producing today. I do have Matt from Rhode Island with me as really just another pair of ears to talk to. What's going on, buddy?
What's going on? I kind of feel like Pesci and Goodfellas showing up to be made.
Well, no, I think it's the opposite. I think you're
I'm waiting for
stabbing
like
Craig in
Craig
the
to show
back,
up from
really.
be yeah. But I feel like Craig's gonna come up from behind me and get me with the piano wire.
Not at all. But obviously, last night was a disaster. I thought Craig did very poorly. I didn't really know what. I'm not good in those situations. I'm uncomfortable with it and sympathetic to him
Yeah.
because I am also not good when I'm, the focus of any negative attention. You shine a light on me and I disappear. So
Yeah.
I'm sympathetic towards it. I get it, but it was a piss poor performance, I thought. And then, as everyone heard at the end, which was definitely serious, because usually when there's a big announcement on the show, I wait till the very end, when probably no one is listening, to make it. Craig resigned.
So is that real?
Huh?
That was real?
Oh yeah, sure. I would always wait till the very end and do a half-assed. So you resign, right? And then he says yes, and then we end the show.
So hold on. So what was your last interactions with him since yesterday? Have you talked to him at all today or yesterday?
Last night he said people think I actually resigned, and I said just ignore it because I
Oh.
thought it would be funny that I didn't realize Chris was going to talk about it on the show today. I mean, I guess it
Yeah.
makes sense that he did, but I knew that you would be on here, so I just thought it would be funny that if the next episode people see you, that they think he's gone. I didn't think anyone thought I was serious when I said he resigned. First of all, this is not something you resign from. This is
Just
not this is not a high-ranking position that you send your letter of resignation. You just don't show up one day.
yeah. This is like Goodwill Hunting. You just disappear.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just,
And I'd say, wow, I've been waiting for that. And in many ways, I am Ben Affleck, and that I've been waiting for Craig not to show up for some time.
he's going to see about a Jerry.
Yeah. So I
A
thought
horrible.
yesterday was a very poor performance. I thought Kirk, of course, nailed it on the head. Thank you, Kirk. I will say, Chris, I was kidding when I said, new guy's starting tomorrow. I thought it was so obvious that was a joke. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe and I can blame my poor sense of humor, I suppose. But I don't like the vice principal attitude where, I asked him a direct question and he was less than honest with me. The man was not forthright with me. Yeah, I don't know. I was fucking around.
I got this morning. I got Steve from Providence in my text telling me that I'm stabbing Craig in the back.
Oh, you Rhode Island guys.
I guess so. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just assisting. I
Oh,
cut clips.
I assume Craig will be back
I hope so.
on.
He's great on the show. You guys are great together. I love the show with you guys.
I've made you say that, and I appreciate you sticking to the script.
There's a
Uh,
there's a gun set up off camera.
well, the problem is you are in a way auditioning for Craig's job, so do keep that in mind
Okay. Well,
because I am down on Craig, and there's an element of like I appreciate the time that Craig puts in, but I'm also sick of saying that. Like I'm sick of having to like I don't know. I told him when the show started that I couldn't pay him at all. And then every month I've given him not a lot of money, but more than 10% of what I make from Patreon. So I don't know. Maybe that's a shit deal but it's what I can afford. I use
yeah.
Patreon to pay my rent, thank God. And the other thing I didn't like is that I just mentioned it pays my rent. And I'm fully aware that that all comes from Kirk. Like the people that subscribe to this podcast is because I'm on Kirk's podcast and he has me on. So that's enough. I have no reason to take anything else from. So I kind of hate the shit that I see on Twitter from Craig of him. This campaign to be the president of the Minifans. It seems that he's running. Like waving his arms, trying to get attention. And I understand hustling, but I think there's some tact to hustling. You know what I mean? You can do it without fucking kind of spitting in people's faces. And
Yeah.
I don't
I
think
see where
he
you're coming
means to
from.
do that ever, but I think he should also be a little more aware of how he comes across. So that's been my
Fair.
big that's been my big issue with Craig overall. And then yesterday I thought it was and he was not listening to me. Maybe I did a bad job. You tell me, Matt. You watched it.
Yeah.
I tried to stop him because at every turn, I thought he was making the wrong decision. I thought it was the wrong decision not to play along with the joke. I thought it was the wrong decision to bring up his kid. Everything he did, I thought was bad. Was it clear
that's the
that I
first
thought
clip.
that was the wrong move?
Yeah, that's the first clip they played on KMS, I think. It was like you being like, oh, well, hold on. Don't go down this road. Don't do that. Don't do that. You kind of like, and I think it was just, I think it was just out of a place of emotion for Craig. Like,
of course,
like he was saying, like, this is a thing that, this is what he's been kind of building to do to get out of what he's been doing. And I totally get that because it's something that similar that I'm doing.
I've been doing it for 10 years.
So, yeah, right. So I do totally get that, but I think that he just maybe missed the mark a little bit, but he came back down. Did you hear him? He called in today.
Certainly. Oh, so that's I should note Matt's first great production work is he sent me a message before the show and said, you should probably listen to KMS before the show. Oh, I didn't think of that, Matt. Thank you.
If it wasn't obvious. Yeah.
Well, that's an excellent note.
Well, once you see my articles that I pulled in my news that I pulled, you'll see that I was really grasping at straws today.
Okay.
For stuff for us.
Yeah. So I don't know. I thought Kirk obviously nailed it on the head. I thought Chris, it was odd how angry he was, even though none of it. It seemed like he was personally upset by it, which I found it funny. So that was enjoyable. And then my other one gripe was with Dave Cullinane, who presented me as this stumbling boob who thought that Craig was going to make $5 million a month.
Yeah, right.
What I said to Dave was, that's the number he told me. And Dave goes, is he really making that? And I said, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. I did not make up a number and say, Dave acted like I was a child that said, oh, how much is that car? $12 million?
I don't know what money is. How much could a banana cost, Michael? $9? Was that from Arrested
This pizza was cheap. I think it was $48,000. Fucking asshole. Yeah.
There's a lot of miscommunication going on, but I think you're right. I think Kirk nailed it on the head, and I think that it seems like I didn't get through the whole episode today, but I got up to the part where Craig called in, and it kind of seems like it's just seems like he's allowed back in Saco now.
Supposedly. So, we'll see about that.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, I do hope that everything goes well with you and Craig. I hope you guys can work.
Well, my personal thing is I don't necessarily want him there with a giant Very Good Show t-shirt and
Well, he was very good about that. He no pun intended, but he didn't want anybody with Very Good Show shirts on at the Kirk shows, which I get as well. But
I'm sure that it's a massive influx that he had to stop from.
I gotta tell you, at Saco, the last show, the one that just happened, I was like, I went up to introduce myself to you, but
was I rude to you?
No, not at all. Totally not at all. I was talking with Tim, and I just was kind of standing there, and I didn't know when to interject because everybody would just like the etiquette of like waiting to like talk to you was I was just like standing like near you, but a little bit far away, but people would just like be cutting in front of me and just like going up to talk to you. So I was like, you know what, I'll just wait and I'll go find Craig. And then I came back over and instead
because I only talked to you for like a minute, so I didn't know if I was disrespectful.
I know you had your whole line of fans waiting, so I didn't want to hold you up. I just wanted to introduce myself quick, and then
And Matt from Rhode Island, by the way, from Vaulted Podcast that we mentioned in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, which we will be recording. Well, we'll see. We'll be recording Why Are You Laughing from there, I believe.
Oh, no, we're recording. We're sticking to that day.
I'm just saying, unless Craig has signed me to some contract with 550 Studios or something.
I won't have it. Then I come with it then.
Okay. Good.
I don't know what to tell you. I'm coming along.
All right. Very good. So, we have a studio secured in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. So if you guys do this sort of thing, then check them out.
Yeah.
And, I guess, this has, of course, potential to be the free episode today. So I just want to make sure I mentioned to you guys, my friends from twotours.com, our good friends that have federally legalized hemp that they can ship all around this great nation of ours. And you get free shipping and 10% off if you use promo code Mike. That is my name, Mike, at checkout. You can check out the disposable vapes, the Delta 8 gummies, and all the fantastic products that these veterans, these 2 Afghanistan veterans, provide to you out of the Middle Tennessee area. So if you are in that area, you can check out their retail store. But for my money, the easiest way to do it would be to go to twotours.com and use promo code Mike at checkout. You're supporting veterans, you're supporting myself, and you're supporting the people that support this program. So go out and show them what the gearheads can do, huh?
Yeah. I bought one of their D8 disposable vapes, the pens.
What flavor did you get?
Wedding cake.
Oh, was that? I think that's the one I got. How did it taste?
It was good. I mean, I'm not usually for not really like a flavored.
Well, I only asked that because that's the first thing I noticed. I was like, oh, this actually tastes very good.
Yeah,
we're just doing an infomercial for them.
Right. No,
and you know what else is great about them?
It was great. And they were super fast shipping. And of course, it was free because I used promo code Mike.
Yes, very good. And 10% off as well. So I don't know. Any other takeaways from you? I don't want to do an entire recap show, but
no, I think everybody's going to get their fill of it between yesterday on KMS to your show yesterday and today on KMS. I think everybody's going to get their feel for it. Craig will be back. I hope he will be back.
I believe so. Yeah. So to summarize, I am down on Craig, but that's been festering for a while. But I'm also sympathetic to his situation. So, and I'm not a confrontational guy, so I try to avoid that shit as much as I can. But
yes. Speaking of not confrontational,
yes.
So did you listen to Tom Segura on Rogan?
I started it, and I didn't. So right out of the gate is that vaccine comment. So I'm about 15 minutes in, and then Kirk's podcast dropped, so I got to that.
Yeah, so you got to the part where Tom's kind of like begrudgingly telling Rogan that he got vaccinated.
I don't know if I hit that.
Or he's getting vaccinated. I just think it's funny because obviously Rogan has come out on his stance on the vaccine even after getting sick. But I just found it strange that like Tom is he was like kind of like sheepishly telling.
Well, Tom's
Joe,
scared of Rogan, I think.
I think so too. Well, that's kind of what I'm getting at. But he was kind of like, oh yeah, I'm touring and it was just easier if I just got it. And it was like his brother-in-law or sister-in-law, like as a nurse, and she was explaining to him that he should get the vaccine for these reasons. And he's like, oh, and so I just got it. But he you could tell he wanted to glaze over it as quickly as possible.
Which is weird because I don't know Rogan as a vindictive guy. Maybe he is behind the scenes, which is kind of the worst. That's the type you got to watch out for, is a guy that's not like that on air. And then behind the scenes is like, fuck this person,
Right.
So I don't know if Rogan's like that at all. And Tom would be worried, but by the on air relationship it seems they have, I'm surprised he would give a fuck. And maybe that's the difference between like LA comics and New York comics. Because whoever, like Jim Norton's crew or the Legion of Skanks guys or whoever would be relentlessly just busting each other's balls. Whereas the LA guys are like, are you sure that's okay with you? Like, is this acceptable?
Yeah, I kind of felt like that Tom was like, he said it, but like, Joe had come out and said that, if you want to get the vaccine, I think it's good for you. I don't think that some people need it. He was talking about how young people, healthy people don't need it, whatever. But I think that because Tom got it, maybe his on-air Joe's on-air personality would say he doesn't care who gets it, but maybe his friends and things like that, like behind closed doors, maybe like Joe's like one of those, like, I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed. Like, why didn't you listen to, you know what I mean? Why didn't you just listen to what I've been saying? Like, if you were just healthy, you would be
well, that would be stupid. Although he does kind of come off. It's funny if you ever listen to Tim Dillon talk, because Rogan will talk to Tim Dillon and just be like, oh, well, you just get a personal trainer and do this and that and this and that. And it's like, that's just not how everyone operates. Everyone doesn't have $100 million.
Right.
But just in general, everyone's not so focused on vitamins and supplements and jujitsu and deer hunting. And
yeah, I thought it was funny too when he was like explaining, like, so he got sick and he was explaining what he did, like what his regimen was. And he's like, I just threw the kitchen sink at it. I was like, well, that's great for you. But I don't know, like I can't turn to my wife and be like, hey, hook me up to a vitamin B drip, please. I feel ill.
You bring up an interest. I meant to get because you are, in a way, stabbing Craig in the back here and trying to steal his job.
No, never.
So I wanted to know. You mentioned you are married.
I am, yes.
Let's say you were to do this podcast, the amount that Craig does it, which is fairly, at least 3 times a week plus pre-recordings and that sort of shit.
Yeah.
That he's on. So would that ruin your life the way it has evidently ruined Craig's? He said that yesterday, that he's ruined his life for me, apparently. So I guess I'm
I
supposed to
do.
harbor that.
I do get where he's coming from, but I think that the only thing on my end would be that I would have to find, I'd have to figure out the schedule in my own, because I'm I just left a full-time gig, kind of like going out on my own and doing some independent contract work, not necessarily podcast producing or audio producing at all, but some other stuff. So I would just have to find time with myself. My wife's very supportive when it comes to that stuff, and she kind of gets it. I've been doing podcasts and things on the side for a while.
Right.
So, I'm sure she wouldn't super enjoy me piling another thing onto my plate that would take time away from me being with her. But I think she would understand. I'm also paying rent for a studio that's not like in my house. So, I'm
Right.
pouring money into that. So if she hasn't divorced me yet for that, then I think we could be
I think the big difference is someone who has known you, like the entire time you've known your wife, you've been interested in this shit and getting into it, I'm assuming.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think the difference is, when you're 30 years old, just suddenly deciding I'm going to devote my life to it, that can be a jarring thing for a wife to be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Whereas like when Alba met me, she knew that I was just some fucking loser that was just going to do this. And so she's like, all right, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, we met back in 2013, and back then I was even doing a podcast back then. It has morphed into the one I do now with my two buddies, but yeah, we've been doing it for a long time. The Average Nobody's correct.
Which is not is that weekly or what the hell's going on?
It is weekly. It's been going weekly. We had a spell there for a minute, and Craig was trying to drum up some angst between me and my co-hosts, but everything's good, and we do it weekly. We are going to be recording tomorrow night, so it'll be out Monday.
Yeah, the phrase torpedoing my marriage, I felt was a little strong.
Well, I mean, but you're right. Like him not like him going from not being interested in it all to building a studio and doing very good show, which I do like very good show as well. And and doing all that, like going from 0 to 100 can be a lot, but he's going after it. I mean, he thinks it's worth the risk.
Yeah.
So yeah,
he's definitely a hustler. But like I tried to explain, if I'm ruining your fucking life, then don't do it. You don't owe me anything. It's okay.
You don't want people to ruin their life over you, Mike?
I'd rather I'd like it if they did it willingly, but if you're gonna whine about it,
fair. That's fair. Yeah. So Tom Segura, I just wanted to bring that up quick. I don't know if that was really the only part I wanted to bring up. Other than that, it's kind of like the normal Tom and Joe podcast.
Yeah. Well, I guess two other notes from the world of comedy when it comes to COVID was I saw today that Patton Oswalt canceled a bunch of gigs in Florida and maybe Alabama. I forget the other state.
It was. Let me see. I got the article right here.
Two of those states with
Florida and Salt Lake City. Yeah, Florida and Salt Lake City. So,
Utah, really? I didn't know they were. I didn't know they were like that. I guess Mormons. You never know what they're gonna do. Yeah,
right. My question for you on this is: so I found this article and then I was looking on Twitter for like reactions, and it's obviously like kind of a mixed bag. But the ones that jump out at me that are strange are the people that are like applauding him for doing this. So like, does it need applause?
That was my whole take on it. Was I have zero issue with Patton Oswalt canceling his gigs if they're not going to follow how he wants things done. He's big enough to swing his dick around and say, well, then I'm not doing it there.
Yeah.
What I don't like is that I do think on some level Patton Oswalt is like, aren't I a hero, guys? Like, look at the great thing that I did. Yeah. And then everyone just gargles his balls over it.
Yeah. It's like all the people too that are like, they kind of like all along have been like not rooting for the virus, but they love that it happened. Like, they love that it's like, it's come to these moments where like he has to do this and stand up for, whatever. I don't know. I just don't think it's an applause worthy moment.
Well, that's what goes back to the Rogan thing, because as I didn't hear Rogan when I said this yesterday, but Rogan said the exact same thing I did. He goes, why isn't CNN pointed out that I was fine afterwards? Like, why are they making it seem like I'm sickly and dying of COVID?
Yeah, right.
I think back in the day, it would have been, and by back in the day, I mean, even like 5 years ago, I think it would have been oh, this worked for Joe Rogan. Maybe it won't work for me, but I'll ask my doctor about that. And now it's Republicans say that this
Yeah.
works and Democrats say that it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's like, that's
And
not, you say trust the science, but the science isn't just what one voting party thinks.
They also totally twisted the ivermectin conversation, because there is an FDA approved human ivermectin dosage.
Yeah.
And thing. I mean, people are also pulling it off the shelves of Tractor Supply, which is not great. But they didn't make it sound like they weren't. They were making it sound like Joe Rogan was taking horse dewormer, which is what he was not doing.
That's the media does have a good way of they know what they're doing. Like horse dewormer
absolutely.
does like ivermectin sounds medical. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
geez, that must cure you. Whereas horse dewormer conjures such an image.
Yeah. In college, I used to use mane and tail shampoo. And like it was like they sell it at Walgreens. It's very cheap shampoo that is also for horses.
You have a very thick mane on you.
I do not. I am bald. Maybe that's why. Maybe that
probably you probably tore your fucking hair out.
But it was very cheap in this huge bottle, and it was called mane and tail. They sold it at Walgreens, and it's it's for horses, but it was also human use, I guess. But like
that reminds me again to go back to yesterday's show. As you know, since this is the Blind Mike Project, I was not able to see Craig, and kudos to Chris for bringing this up because I didn't see it. Did Craig really have his hair slicked back and was all dressed up yesterday?
I don't know if he had he definitely had his hair done, but he also, I think he got a haircut. I commented live. I was like, nice haircut, got a haircut for the big meeting. So I couldn't tell if it was slicked back or not. I was watching on my phone.
Yeah,
but he definitely got a haircut.
I'll have to go back and look very closely because I always picture him just in a hat, but I don't actually see him on this. I don't see you right now.
Right. Well, yeah, no hair. But maybe the hat was what threw me off because he wasn't wearing a hat. But yeah, I noticed that he was doing something different with his hair.
Oh, all done.
Looking very dapper.
Well, Mr. Geary, you're not meeting your numbers here. We lost subscribers early this month. What's that about? He's gonna lecture me.
Also, I was listening to the show the other day. He was talking about the bloodletting of the August Patreon subscribers. There was just a huge exodus.
Not really. So it's every month. There's just card declines and shit like that.
Oh, right.
So this month it dropped. Like I think August the podcast grew the most since it started. So it also dropped the most. So it was a jarring. Like 30 people left the Patreon. Yeah. And I was like, holy shit. And then slowly, like even that day, you get like, of that 30, like 5 or 6 back. Mm-hmm. Immediately, because it's usually just people that like their card declined because it expires September 21 or whatever,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another, boy, Matt knows how to. He's doing a good job of pushing Craig out. He keeps getting me riled up about him.
No, I love Craig. I do love Craig.
The one other thing that bothered me is like there's no sense of, listen, this is not a professional operation by any means, but there's no sense of like, he kind of shit on what the sponsor, like what our guys at Two Tours paid at one time. And he'll shit on like, and it's like, I don't know, man, like there's a way to do things, but when it involves a sponsor, that's like, I don't mind you shitting on the podcast or saying the podcast sucks, which I also think is a weird take for the producer to have, but I think it's like, I've learned to be more accepting of that from just people on Twitter and shit. But I also don't know if I want the guy producing the podcast to also think this is some worthless shit show. I'd like at least that guy to be inspired to make it better.
Yeah, I get that. So moving away from Craig, but the other day on the show,
that's very uncomfortable when I do.
We'll be back to Craig, I'm sure. On the other day on the show, you were talking about you wanted a way to watch the NFL games, right, on their own without having to do YouTube TV or anything like that.
Well, I cracked, so don't tell me you have a solution.
No, I don't have a solution. I was going to pivot to something else, but what was your solution? I'm curious.
I just got YouTube TV.
Okay. I mean, you can do 3 TVs with that. I have YouTube TV and I share it with 2 other couples, and you can only have 3 TVs going at once, but that's all we ever really do.
I'll tell you the problem, Matt, is the bitch in the other room. I tried doing that the first time because
Bravo.
Her brother wanted to use it, and her old roommate, who like one of her best friends, wanted to use it. And I said, great, we'll split it 3 ways. And she was like, I can't ask them for money.
Oh yeah, you
I was
can.
like, they're stealing our cable, damn it.
There's an easy way to get your friends to pay you for it. You tell them that you can have your own login and everything, and you can have your own DVR. So you just be like, let's split it, and it's like 20 something dollars a couple.
And it's easy. You just Venmo each other every month. It's not like you have to come to my house and demoralize yourself,
Yeah, right. And it's like I do, like I said, I do it with 2 friends, and we all, we really only do it for football. My other than football, I do watch Dancing with the Stars, but my wife likes like Bravo and shit like that. But I don't like, other than football, I'm not watching YouTube TV, so it's fine having it on one TV in my house. I don't care.
I'm
anyway,
really only going to use it for football, but I will watch that show Impeached, the Clinton thing. Which I heard no buzz or reviews about, by the way.
Is that the FX show?
Yeah.
So
I thought that would be on Hulu the next day, but they have some deal with Netflix where it's just going to be on next year, I guess.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, there's a Monica Lewinsky was being interviewed by Fox News and brought up that she is also with this. She also has a documentary coming out. I don't know if it's coming out next year or later this year.
Boy, they beat you over the head with these things.
I mean, isn't it insane? 15 Minutes of Shame, this documentary is called, and she's exploring obviously what that implies, but also cancel culture in the United States.
Oh, interesting. Monica's my gal.
Yeah. I mean,
it's just exhausting because it's the same exact thing they did with OJ, where the OJ thing came out on FX, and also they released that 47-hour documentary on ESPN.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, remember this? It's like, yeah, I'll be interested in it because I was a kid when that happened.
Yeah.
I was 8 years old when 7 years old when the Monica Lewinsky, and 3 when OJ happened.
Yeah,
so
probably.
I'll be interested in it, but I think their target audience probably will be like, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
that's what the People versus OJ Simpson was. I remember that.
I just think this is really being tugged out like far. Like this is just all like no pun intended.
Bill was doing.
Yeah. Right. I just think it's strange. And I also think that Monica Lewinsky's been great. Like she's handled it great. She's been, and I'm sure she went through hell, like absolute hell. But I think that everything is like flipped. And like everybody is.
You're right. She came from the era where, I'm sure it wasn't the majority of people, but there were certainly people like, you slut.
Right.
And now that would never happen. Maybe from pockets of the world, but
yeah, there's small amount of people that would still say that, but it is totally done at 360. And so I hope that it's this 15 minutes of shame, which like right on the nose, like, and also like is like, I don't know, kind of like ricochet shot at Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
And I just hope it's not like doesn't turn into like a soapbox type thing, because I don't know if I need to hear that from Monica Lewinsky.
Yeah, I don't know. And that's what the show and the fact that she produces the show. Maybe you'll get a perspective that you wouldn't have if she wasn't there, but I also hope it's not like, although, it's a weird case where usually I like with the Jordan thing, I'm like, oh, well, Jordan's producing it. It's just going to be fluff.
Yeah.
But you get so much pro Clinton shit. Like the media loves the Clintons and all that shit. So a bias in the opposite direction might actually be a good thing.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how much traction it gets, in the news. Because again, this is a article I found on Fox News.
Yeah,
didn't find it anywhere else.
No, of course. Well, I'll check it out. The other, speaking of on the nose, did you watch the Many Saints of Newark second trailer?
Oh my God, are you talking about the baby, the comment by the grandmother or whatever?
So I loved the trailer. I thought the trailer was great.
Yeah.
I thought it was very, again, very well done. And I really, all the trailer is do they pick good music or not?
Right.
Yeah. I thought they picked good music, and it looks pretty cool. And there were a couple things that are like, like when he goes, I'm pussy. It's like, just save that for the movie.
Yeah.
You don't have we know these guys are going to be in it. You don't have to wow us.
Well, maybe it's for people that it's like, oh my God, his name is Pussy.
But that was fine. I don't have a problem with that. But then at the end, you knew exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Where it's like, Jesus.
So he sees Christopher as a baby, and he goes to like do like the baby talk shit, and the baby starts crying. Christopher starts crying, and the grandmother, whoever, is like he can, what is it? What is the line? It's like he can, babies
they
can
they say babies when they come out can see from the other, read people from things they saw
sense
on the other
things.
side or something like
Yeah,
that.
right. Which is just totally a ridiculous
Which
line to
makes
put
me
in there.
worry about the movie because The Sopranos is the greatest show. And Breaking Bad's my favorite show ever.
Yeah.
Sopranos was 10 times better at this than Breaking Bad of letting you
Yeah.
realize things,
Yeah.
not beating you over the head with, like, boy, you know how in the future you kill Christopher?
Yeah. That could have been, and maybe, and also too, like, I'm gonna give the benefit of the doubt to the movie, because this could also be one of those like tricky
Chopped
trailer
up.
cuts
Yeah.
where the actual scene is a lot different, and this is just kind of like to get, because some people wouldn't like be like, oh, do you understand the reference? Yeah, of course.
Right.
Like, they're beating it over my head. I don't need that, but maybe some other people need that to see the movie.
They
So
might as well have said, oh, he's reacting like in the future he's gonna, get on drugs and bother you and you're gonna kill him.
hey Tony, do you choke him in his own car in the future? Wouldn't that be funny?
This kid sounds like he's got a future drug problem. And he kills his fiance.
Yeah, and he's fucking up the business. What are you gonna do about it, Tony? What are you gonna do about it?
I do like, the tiny little bits you see. Michael Gandolfini seems good as Tony, young Tony.
Yeah, I can see it in his face. I can
Yeah.
see Tony Soprano in his facial expressions in the trailers.
He does a good job of the cadence too.
Mhm.
Like, I'm only being accused. Like,
Yeah.
hey, Christopher. Like the way Tony talks, he does a good job of capturing that a little bit.
Yeah.
But I have that scene, and they wait till the very end to hit you with it.
Yeah.
It was the first time I was like, oh boy, this could be bad.
Yeah, record scratch type moment. Yeah, I'm still, but obviously still, and I'm thinking you are too. I'm very excited.
Oh yeah, and the one thing that does give me faith is I know I heard David Chase was pissed off that. So the title of the movie is "The Many Saints of Newark," a Sopranos movie, which David Chase was like, I think people will get it. We got fucking Dickie Moltisanti and Tony Soprano in the trailer. I think they'll figure it out. So
well,
he was
marketing,
pissed at that.
Yeah.
So at least there's little things where it's like maybe the marketing is going to be bullshit. But
I think you're right.
So,
definitely. I mean, that's the marketing department. Like we know, like people love The Sopranos. There's not going to be a problem getting people to go see this movie. Like, yeah.
So I had a couple other things, but I'm curious. You're ripping off Mike from Very Good Show today, and you've got a list assembled.
I have a list.
So I want to get to it.
So the other thing I was looking at today that kind of threw me for a loop was that Ed Sheeran is collaborating with the NFL. Do you know about this?
No, I don't.
So on NFLshop.com, you can now buy Ed Sheeran cross NFL hats, shirts, and jackets that just say in huge letters Sheeran with 2021 NFL logo and kickoff.
That tells you everything. Everything that's wrong with the NFL is encapsulated right there in what you just told me.
I know.
It's so, and just to use the obvious analogy, I mean, I like Ed Sheeran. Like, I like some of his music. I have no issue with him as an individual, but his fan base is like young, not the demographic that appeals to the NFL.
Yes.
So clearly what they're trying to do is appeal to that audience, I guess.
Absolutely.
Which means that if you buy an Ed Sheeran fucking t-shirt, then you're going to watch the Steelers. I don't understand how that translates, but the impulse to do that versus letting your fucking ego take a back seat and partnering in some way with Barstool tells you everything you need to know about Goodell and the way the NFL sees themselves. Like, they want so badly to be mainstream. And it's like, the honest truth of it is, everyone that will watch the NFL probably already is.
Yeah, you're probably
no one's going to discover it now.
Yeah. I mean, right. It's very marginal, the amount of people you can maybe get to swing over there. And it's not going to be the Ed Sheeran fans. Like you're saying, it's not going to be those people. Like, these are going to be, I would guarantee. So there's a jacket. It's like a varsity jacket with buttons. On the back, it says Sheeran, where like a player's jersey name would be. and it's $249.
Jesus Christ.
There's
well,
a
worth every
t-shirt.
penny, I'm sure.
There's a t-shirt that's $50 and there's a hat that's $30. And then they also just have an NFL football also for $130 that doesn't have his name on it. But these will be severely discounted come 2 months from now.
Oh,
these will not
2
sell.
weeks, I would think.
The only people that are buying these are buying it as jokes. No Ed Sheeran fan is buying this. Like PFT commenter is buying one of these jackets because that's a funny bit.
I personally don't think it is. I don't think it's that funny a bit. But what? In a weird way, my analogy just fucking imploded. Because if PFT commenters going to do that, then some people at Barstool will be like, "Oh, that's cool," and then they'll buy it anyways. So I forget that the Barstool is kind of a marketing machine for the NFL because they have to be.
Yeah, right.
So that is probably why the NFL looks at it and says, "Well, why the fuck do we have to be nice to them? They're going to cover us."
But I mean, you don't think that even if PFT does wears one of these on a pardon my take or does some video on Twitter, I mean, that's not going to sell more jackets to the Barstool fans.
No, probably not. I mean, a couple of douchebags will buy it and be like, "Sure, funny."
Right.
But
yeah, right. I mean, I just find it weird. I don't even, if I was I'm trying to think of so I'm a huge Aerosmith fan. If Aerosmith came out with a NFL jacket, like a because they're from Boston, maybe it was a Patriots cross Aerosmith jacket, I don't think I would buy that. I mean, I'm not a Pats fan, but I don't think I would buy that. If it was just
I don't know
Aerosmith.
why you would. You would just buy Aerosmith shit and you'd buy Patriots shit.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't need to tell people everything about you on one T-shirt.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's true.
I don't know if you go, hey, stand-up comedy and podcasting and stock market.
Yeah. It's like one of those shirts that has all the names on. It's like just this and this and this and this and this. All the names like they do for the Wu-Tang Clan. Yeah, it's like the roll call. But it just found it very strange that this is the cross promotion they went with for kickoff.
Yeah. But you know what? I was thinking about this today though. It seems like for whatever reason, I don't know if Barstool started this trend or what happened, but it seems like merchandise is the way to go now.
Oh, definitely.
I don't know if companies aren't making money on advertising or it's just that they're making more money in merch. But I saw Andrew Schultz today put out a shirt for women that says heavies across the tits, which is pretty funny. Yeah. I can't imagine a lot of women are going to buy that, but no. But it dawned on me oh, now every comedian has their own merch. Barstool, that's probably after gambling, their main focus is t-shirts.
Oh, definitely. I mean, there's a reason that Prez, they let Call Her Daddy walk, but he made sure that they got merchandise.
Right.
There is a reason they are monsters with merchandise. These shirts are not expensive to make in volume. And so they are selling a crazy amount of merch. I mean, that's always been their number one thing. It's get the merch up, get the merch up, get the merch up.
Yeah. And I, who saw that and thought about it today, have one plain t-shirt and one plain hoodie up at teespring.com/blindmike, which is the first time I've promoted that in months.
Doing the most. That's right. At least merchandise is number one. It's just very cocky of you not to promote
I've got my finger on the pulse of America. I just don't utilize it at all.
Yeah, so very strange. Maybe maybe every week it'll be a different weird celebrity. Maybe next week they'll I don't even know who would be a weirder combination than Ed Sheeran in the NFL.
Whoever they have singing the song this year, if it's fucking
Carrie
right. Underwood or Faith Hill or whoever they've had do it.
And Ed Sheeran could be doing the halftime show tonight for the kickoff, and it still wouldn't make sense. It still wouldn't make any sense.
No, but you know what? I bet if we looked at the numbers, I bet their halftime numbers go up substantially. Does it make their money back? I have no idea. But yeah, I bet they go up substantially having that as opposed to having Terry Bradshaw and Howie Long break down the first 2 quarters.
Yeah, you're probably right. People like Ed Sheeran fans would tune in for that because it's not football. It's an Ed Sheeran concert.
Yeah, or if I'm watching the game with Alba, I'll keep it on because she'll want to watch it rather than just click around. I think that's the most likely scenario.
Yeah.
But what else we got? Anything? I saw Howard Stern. I meant to throw that in with the Patton Oswalt shit too.
Yeah, I have that as well. So Howard Stern rips vaccine. He says, "Fuck their freedom. I want my freedom to live," which is a wild statement from Howard Stern, who basically lives in his house in Florida and does everything from there, right?
Who also ran for governor on a free speech and fucking use your guns platform.
Yeah. To just he's totally gone. He's totally gone 180.
Well, I mean, that's obvious. Like we've talked about Howard Stern on I've done it on Kirk's show and this show 10 million times. I think everyone knows that he's sold out and just changed as a guy. But what stuck out to me was I think he ripped off Kimmel from the other night.
Did Kimmel say the same thing?
Kimmel said essentially the exact same. We played it last night.
Yeah, he was like,
he
oh,
had those
so sorry,
jokes
die.
Yeah, just let them die. And then I think Howard maybe heard that.
Yeah.
And said, ooh, good idea.
Yeah.
That's
totally ridiculous.
If that's, and I'm just putting that together, but if that's true, that's the saddest part of all.
It's been beaten like a dead horse, but I mean, it's so sad what he's become. Like it's just what a stupid. It's just so stupid. I don't know.
I think maybe Kirk mentioned this, or I don't know who I heard talking about this, but like I think about it a lot now. Where like, what's Howard Stern's last show going to be like? Because he's going to have one, and he's going to be able to do whatever he wants. And like before, it would have been crazy. He'd have a big live audience and former guest, and
yeah.
And now I think it'll just be like
it's gonna be like Francesa. Francesa's never gonna have a last show because he'll always have that itch to want to do something, and there'll always be people willing to pay for him to do it.
Yeah,
that's the formula, and he'll just keep doing it, and there won't be like this big last, quote unquote last show. And also like he's cut ties with so many people from the old show, like what the show used to be.
Oh, most of them, except the ones that work there, which is like he has this loyalty to Gary and Fred and Robin and these people. Even like Richard and Sal have been there for like 20 years now.
Yeah.
So yeah, he does have this weird loyalty to people. I don't know what that's about. But I always just enjoy the image of like going to my dad or whatever Howard Stern fan in 1988.
Yeah.
And saying like, hey, in the future, this guy is going to be fearful of leaving his home to play chess with the neighbor. I don't even know what the fuck he's talking. Go next door? Does he to play chess? Where is that?
Also, how extreme is it for you to say, I want my freedom to live? Like that's such an extreme statement. Like such an extreme statement also in the climate that the world is in right now. Like such an extreme statement to say, I want my freedom to live. Dude, you are a fucking multi-millionaire, if not billionaire. Like you have plenty of freedoms to live however you want.
And play online chess if you're that scared. Jesus.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, you're right. It's like the only rights we have are like choosing what we want to do. So you can choose to take medicine or not take medicine. You don't have the right to not give people hospital care.
Yeah.
Based on their fucking political linings.
And in the article, he brings up how when he was a kid, he he had to get vaccines. Like we all have to get certain vaccines. It's just the way things are for, measles and all that.
Well, I've thought about that a million, like, because I'm not vaccinated yet. And I probably will be at some point because I'm going to travel in 2 months.
Honestly, I think you were saying it on one of your shows a couple weeks ago. It's probably just easier for you. It's probably just easier to just like do it. And so you can travel easier.
Yeah. It's gotten to the point where like, I'm not afraid of it. I never was.
Yeah.
But now it will be easy. It will make my life easier. Whereas before I didn't know what the fuck it was. It didn't really affect my life in any way other than having a few people be like, yo, you're a real piece of shit. Oh, great.
Yeah. Right.
So other than that, it didn't bother. And now it's getting to a point where like, okay, my life might be a little more difficult without it. So I'll just get it. I'm not afraid of it. I don't think it's poisoning you. Like, I'm not a fucking conspiracy anti-vaxxer or anything. It's just like, why? And I've always said this about my eyes. If today they say, hey, we have a cure for Stargard's, I'll be like, okay, I'll give it a week.
Yeah.
I'll see how the first few guys make it out and then I'll get it. So it's kind of the same idea with this, and I think that's how people should be kind of, but do what you want.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you ever go on the Rogan podcast in the future, don't tell him you got it, or he's going to be very disappointed in you.
That'd be great. You just like take some fish oil, man. Just take some fucking vitamins.
Listen, just hook yourself up to an IV 24 hours a day. You just want all the vitamins in your system at all times, and you're fine.
Well, I would Shane Gillis that episode if I was ever on there so bad. I'm like, whatever you say, man.
Yeah, right. Sometimes I think back to that joke that he made about, I was like, I'll be fine. I'll just go on go on the Joe Rogan podcast, and there was just silence.
Just a
And we
bomb.
talked about it before. I think about it all the time. Like how I think about like previous things that I've fucked up, and I just like want to die inside thinking about how I handled certain situations. I think about that, and I am like physically upset for him.
Yeah,
Like,
you get hot.
yeah. It's like, oh God.
But my favorite from that exchange, my favorite line was after the podcast. Like Shane said this on his podcast, where they played pool afterwards in the studio.
Yeah.
And Shane said something like, he was kind of just trying to like interact with him, I guess. So he asked him about certain shot. He's like, "Oh, you think this is the best shot or whatever?" He goes, "I don't really know what I'm doing." And Rogan just kind of pauses and looks at him and goes, "Pool's a difficult game, Shane Gillis." I don't know why that makes me laugh. It's just a bizarre thing to say to someone.
It's very bizarre. That was Joe Rogan being like, "All right, I think it's time for you to leave. I think it's time for you to go."
All right. Anything else, man? I've enjoyed this episode. I feel like we got along pretty well.
Yeah.
And you begged to come on. You said, "Hey, I think this Craig guy is no good for you."
Stop. Please stop. Don't
and I
fuel
said,
that fire.
I said, I like Craig, but it's interesting. You make an interesting point, and we'll try it out.
Yeah. I mean, I obviously anytime you need me to fill in, I will help out wherever needed, and I will still be clipping the shows.
What has Craig done to you that you're this afraid of him?
He's standing right off screen right now, glaring at me. It's been great.
Check out Vaulted Podcast. Matt does a good job with our clips every week. And if you do a podcast, go check out Vaulted Podcast and follow at Matt from RI on Twitter.
Yeah, check me out there. I have all my other stuff linked.
And make sure you check out twotours.com. Use promo code Mike for 10% off and free shipping on that federally legalized hemp. I'm not so sure if I'm supposed to say cannabis or not. I feel like they didn't give me enough instructions. I feel worried that I'm going to get them in trouble in some way.
Well, it's not CBD. It's a psychoactive thing, so it's gonna get you high, and it did get me very high. I went to a wedding last weekend, and it was nice because sometimes I don't like to drink a lot, but It did the job.
That's what I say. It's the perfect social lubricant. You're not gonna. No one's ever humiliated themselves from cannabis the way you do with alcohol.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And I guess that's it. Maybe this will be the free episode. I'm feeling that confident about it.
All right, cool. Buy a Blind Mike t-shirt. Merch is huge.
Yeah, go do that. And we'll talk to you next week. We'll see if Craig is back. And you know what? If you made it this far in the podcast, you're clearly a devoted gearhead. So let me know, whether it's on Twitter or in the comments on Patreon or wherever you want to let me know. Let me know if I'm too hard on Craig, not hard enough. If you think I should allow him back, whatever your thoughts are, let me know. Because I feel like this is a decision we can make together as a family on patreon.com/blindmike. Oh, and if this is the free episode, sign up there. Patreon.com/blindmike. As little as $1 a month. If you don't feel like getting emails, then sign up for the $20 a month tier. And $5 and $10. Personally, I'd recommend the $5 and $10 tiers. I think those are the best bang for your buck. But do whatever you choose. Patreon.com/blindmike if you like the podcast. And we will get out of here. No music this week because I'm producing. That's Craig's greatest strength, I think. Goodbye, everybody.